Coming up, highlights of tonight's State of the Commonwealth address.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 11.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. Governor Andy Beshear says the State of the Commonwealth is stronger than it's ever been. He delivered his State of the Commonwealth address tonight. He looked ahead to Kentucky's future, highlighting his budget proposal. Grayson Passmore has the highlights from tonight's address.
Less than a month after being sworn in for his second term, Governor Andy Beshear delivered his annual State of the Commonwealth address, where he began and repeatedly stated the Commonwealth is stronger than it has ever been.
No pandemic, no tornado, no flood, or any other challenge will ever change that. How we dealt with these historic challenges wasn't red or blue. It wasn't R or D. It was just us, Team Kentucky, where everybody matters.
Throughout the address, Beshear recognized educators, healthcare workers, and several Good Samaritans for their work over the past 4 years. He restated parts of his proposed budget that would offer millions more in funding in areas like disaster relief, workforce development, and education. His proposals for funding universal pre-K and an 11% across-the-board raise to educators earned standing applause from some.
Our competition to the north and the south are showing us the way. But this budget opportunity is our chance to make things right here in Kentucky. Let's work together to get it done in this session.
A few hours earlier, Senate President Robert Stivers and House Speaker David Osborne held a joint press conference providing a small look into what their proposed budget may hold. While they say education will be a priority, they say they won't mandate across-the-board raises.
I believe that those are decisions best made at the local level. But I do think that you will see us again contribute significant funding that local officials will have the ability to utilize that money, and I certainly believe and hope that they will use that money to give teacher raises.
Stivers says there's also not much appetite in either chamber for funding universal pre-K.
We all know that we have to be competitive with our sister states. We have to be competitive with the private sector, and there will be a need for the local level officials, school boards and superintendents, to have the tools to which to be competitive with.
Stivers and Osborne said you can expect their budget to be filed within a week or two. At the Capitol, Grayson Passmore, WKYT.
Governor Beshear recognized Savannah and Paisley Chaffins tonight, who were in the audience. Savannah's husband and Paisley's dad was Prestonsburg police officer Jacob Chaffins, who died along with 2 other men and a canine during an ambush in Floyd County in 2022. Tonight was also the first time we saw Lieutenant Governor Jacqueline Coleman make a public appearance since undergoing a double mastectomy. On the second day of the General Assembly session, we are learning about dozens of bills that have already been filed. At the top of lawmakers' priorities is, of course, the budget, but lawmakers will debate bills concerning the state's near total abortion ban, speeding in construction zones, banning the sale of cats and dogs in pet stores, and legalizing recreational marijuana.
Would be the Kentucky SAFE Act, the crime bill that Jared Bauman has worked on. I think that will probably get one of those ceremonial numbers.
House Bill 51 would require public schools to obtain parental approval for participation in certain questionnaires and activities. And it's not been filed yet, but we are likely to see a constitutional amendment which would let voters decide on school choice issues. Kentucky State Police are investigating a bomb threat at the state capitol this morning. Police say the threat came through the email at 8:30. They evacuated the building, and after an investigation, police gave the all clear. Kentucky's state capitol was not the only one that received a bomb threat today. State capitals in at least a dozen other states were also evacuated for similar threats. The FBI is calling the threats a hoax. We are continuing to watch the political filings in Kentucky. Former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley filed for president today in Kentucky's May Republican primary. She joins former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and businessman Vivek Ramaswamy on Kentucky's GOP ballot so far. Frontrunner former President Donald Trump has not filed yet in Kentucky. Congressman Hal Rogers now has 3 opponents in the upcoming primary. Several incumbent Eastern Kentucky state senators and representatives have filed and have no opposition so far. Democrat Zachary Hall of Hazard filed today in the 84th district for state representative. Incumbent Republican Chris Fugate is also running. The filing deadline is this Friday.
We are tracking some cold and cloudy weather as we close out your Wednesday. Let's take a look at the radar at this hour. You can see we are dry, but we are cloudy, and that cold front not too far away. As we zoom out, you can see that cold front close to the Ohio River, and that will continue pushing off to the south and east as we go into late tonight, also early on Thursday. So we are watching out for possibly a stray sprinkle or a few snow flurries by late tonight. And as you wake up on Thursday, temperatures at this hour are chilly in the middle to lower 30s, down to 34 in Jackson, 35 in Pikeville, and 36 over in Somerset at this hour. And your forecast tonight, most of us are dry and cold. Temperatures in the upper 20s and lower 30s as you wake up on Thursday. But again, watching out for possibly a stray sprinkle or snow flurry, especially in those higher elevations. And your forecast on Thursday is much cooler. Highs back in the middle to upper 30s. All thanks to that cold front and a few flurries early in the morning, but we are trending drier for the rest of your Thursday. More dry weather on Friday, and then big changes as we go into this weekend. Those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Cameron, thank you. Sunday marks the 32nd anniversary of an unsolved murder in Bell County, and state police are asking for your help to get some answers. On January 7, 1992, 24-year-old Greta Henson was found dead at her home in Middlesboro. Police say she was shot 5 times in the back of the head. If you have any information, you should contact KSP Post 10's new cold case detective, Jim Whitaker. That number, 606-573-3131. A story we brought you last night at 11 is getting a lot of attention. We told you that someone has been dumping dead dogs in the Daniel Boone National Forest in McCreary County. A woman we talked to says it looked like they were euthanized, frozen, then dumped. Right now, we are still working to learn more about who is responsible. Both Kentucky State Police and the Forest Service are investigating. If you know anything, you're asked to contact the U.S. Forest Service. And to see that full story from Garrett Weimer, just go to WYMT.com. With tragic events taking place in schools all too often, the need for strengthened security is always an issue. That's why Perry County School Safety Coordinator Harvey Caldwell believes 3D scanning technology like Faro will be a huge upgrade in the school district's security. Having access to 3D model layouts of each school will direct first responders to the best course of action for any emergency.
Safety of students and staff is number one. Without that, there is no education of our students. So, this year, coming into this year, I felt like we needed to, there's always ways to improve.
Hazard City Police Major Zach Miller says several HPD officers will begin training using Faro next week. Miller adds they hope to map Perry County schools this summer. When a home catches fire, every minute is critical when it comes to firefighters' ability to limit the damage. People who live in one rural community are being told a change to their service will lead to quicker response times as well as extra cash in their pockets. As of New Year's Day, W.R. Castle Fire and Rescue in Johnson County has merged with the River Volunteer Fire Department. The W.R. Castle Deputy Chief says the River community has struggled to keep the small station operating, and this merger is a logical solution that will lead to faster responses. They say this will also translate to savings on homeowners' insurance premiums. But they add this will only work with community support.
We'll need volunteers over in that community that live close by that will commit to the training so that those trucks can get on the road and respond to the calls and help that community out.
Plans are underway to improve the building, equipment, and vehicles. A New Jersey Imam was shot and killed outside his mosque this morning. Police are still looking for the shooter. They say Imam Hassan Sharif was in his car when he was shot multiple times. Officials say there is no evidence indicating the shooting was related to anti-Muslim bias. Sharif had been a resident imam at the mosque for 5 years. Dramatic video today of a Las Vegas judge attacked in her courtroom.
I appreciate that, but I think it's time that he gets a taste of something else because I just can't with that history. In accordance with the laws of the state of Nevada, this court is...
Deabra Redden, a three-time felon, was in District Court Judge Mary Kay Holthus's courtroom for sentencing on a charge of attempted battery with substantial bodily harm. After the attack, as you see, several people fought with Redden before throwing him to the ground. The judge hit her head but was okay. A marshal was injured. Redden was taken to jail and now faces new charges. Some previously secret court documents related to Jeffrey Epstein were released late today. Epstein killed himself in 2019 while awaiting trial on sex trafficking charges. There was speculation that the documents would include a list of rich and powerful men who were Epstein's clients or co-conspirators. There was no such list, though. The initial collection of documents largely contained material already released. Former President Donald Trump is asking the U.S. Supreme Court to review a Colorado ruling that bars him from the state's ballot due to his role in the January 6, 2021 Capitol attack. The Republican presidential candidate appealed the finding that an insurrection clause in the Constitution's 14th Amendment renders him ineligible. Trump's appeal comes a day after his legal team asked the Maine Superior Court to review a ruling by the Democratic Secretary of State that Trump cannot be on that state's ballot. As the political battle over the border crisis heats up, House Speaker Mike Johnson and a group of Republican lawmakers visited Eagle Pass, Texas, one of many border cities feeling the impact of the record surge of migrants. CBS's Natalie Brand reports from Washington.
House Speaker Mike Johnson led dozens of fellow Republicans to the Texas border with Mexico, visiting one of the busiest entry points in the country, Eagle Pass.
Today, we got a firsthand look at the damage and the chaos the border catastrophe is causing in all of our communities.
In December, the number of illegal crossings into the United States hit an all-time high of more than 300,000.
Under President Biden, America has laid out a welcome mat to illegal immigrants, smugglers, and cartels.
Congressional Republicans are demanding the Biden administration implement tougher immigration policies. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer says his members are the ones at the table.
It's very nice that they have a trip to the border, but the only way to solve this is here, working in a bipartisan way.
A bipartisan group of Senate negotiators worked through the holiday recess. The White House says it's open to significant changes to asylum and border security laws in exchange for funding for military aid for Ukraine and Israel.
We still have to be able to secure the border. I mean, we still have to be able to do something. We can't just do nothing.
The president has blamed House Republicans for obstructing work on border security. While talks continue in Washington, the Justice Department sued Texas over the state's new law that would let police arrest migrants who enter the U.S. illegally. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
4 crossings along the U.S.-Mexico border will reopen Thursday. They were partially or fully closed last month because officials said they did not have the resources to process the sheer number of asylum seekers. Coming up on Mountain News at 11, one homeless shelter in the mountains is hoping to help more people this winter.
Plus, we are tracking some flurries in the morning, but a widespread soaking by this weekend. Those details after this break.